What has concerned us, because we have seen that the budget projections, once the hiring freeze was announced, that we knew that we were in trouble going down significantly, and we had trouble with the fact that the announcement was a delayed start date and that there was a race to the finish line to get a lot of hiring done. So that was very upsetting to me and to most all of my colleagues. And then there's the complex issue in terms of the governor's hiring, that his personnel go through DFA. They do not go through the state personnel system. And so it's going to be very tricky and complex to find out really what the true figures are. The other issue that we understand has been occurring is that his exempt people that he hires, what some people call unauthorized hires. Now, we aren't talking about the cabinet secretaries, which are exempt, and a lot of the other director type people that are exempt, but we're just talking about blanket unauthorized hires, which are governor appointments, that many of those people now are being put into classified jobs. So then that really muddies more of the water, because those classified jobs are going into the state personnel system. So it's going to be very tricky to try and say who's right. What we do know is that that the governor needs to have a genuine concern for a recurring problem, and to say enough is enough in terms of any hiring of anything that is something besides a state police or a nurse, for instance, and help us out, as opposed to he said, she said, and issues as to where the hiring has been and what the numbers are, because you're right, we hear that the numbers are not what he said. So it's just going to be very complicated, and I wish that we could all kind of come together and say, let's just stop hiring. Because now we are worried that with the figure of unemployment going down even further, I hear it's 7.7, that may not even be accurate. It may even be higher than that. And for me, that is the litmus test that by the time we get to January, it's going to be significantly worse.
Are state employees entitled to have a job for life? In the private industry, there are layoffs and furloughs and cutbacks all the time.
Well, I guess the word entitled is a word that anybody could interpret. What we do know is that government employees do have better job protection than private industry, and what we see with our unemployment and the way that you stay alive, and I was a small business owner for many years, and when you have financial stress, you have to either cut salaries or you have to let people go so that you can get your business back in line. So it is something that is rarely talked about, that government employees do have, at least here in New Mexico, which is where I live and where I can vouch for, they have more job protection than the private industry. That being said, if the legislature does not do this session what we need to do, which is to cut recurring spending, which the governor's already said we can't cut salaries, so he's making it very difficult on us. But if we do not cut recurring spending, we could be losing $100 million a month until we get back here. Whether they want to raise taxes or whatever, it's still not going to be enough of a fix, because tax revenues don't come in for several months. So
Governor Johnson told us yesterday that by not doing the complete fix now and by taking baby steps, that we're exacerbating the problem, and that the burden is 1/12 more every month that it doesn't get fixed.
And Governor Johnson is, what he essentially is saying is, you're kicking the ball down the street, but at some point you're going to have to fix the problem. And so we are very, very concerned right now that we have not seen a responsible bill that is cutting recurring. And the session's not over yet. The session's not over yet, and maybe that will still happen, but what we do know, and those of us that are on the Finance Committee, in a bipartisan look at our economic outcome, if we don't do something, January is going to be very painful.